Okay, ladies, I'm going to do a quick review of the notes we took in class today before I give you the last three examples. So I put up on the screen sort of a synopsis with major important parts that should be in your notes from today. And I want to point out this part right up here, the top, where you see which numbers in your window button, this little window, this is a window button right here. When you change X max, it's going to change the right-hand side. Y max is going to help you go up higher. Changing X min is going to make you go further to the left, and changing Y min is going to make you go down further. All right. For example 1, we typed in Y1, we typed in Y2, and we did a Zoom 6. Did a quick sketch here, labeling Y1 and Y2 as they were graphed. Determined that these two lines were getting closer together at the top, and therefore we needed to go up. If you're going to need to go up, you need to change Y max. We went into the window button, window, and only change the one you need to. You may not change all of them, that's not acceptable. Okay, just change the one you need. We changed the Y max to 20. 20 is a good thing to try first. If that doesn't work, try 30. Okay. We changed it to 20, and then we were able to see the point of intersection. We sketched the graph, paying attention to the x-axis, which is now lower. The y-axis did not move. Sketch the two lines. Make sure you label the y1 and the y2. Label your point of intersection, and be sure that you label that window number in the correct place. Since we changed y max, we put it in the y max location, which is at the top. Right. You have more notes than that on your page. I'm just reviewing them just so you remember the basics. Okay, here was our second example. We typed in Y1, we typed in Y2, and we did a Zoom 6. And this is the picture that we got here with these two pieces of the line here labeled in Y1 and Y2. You can see they're getting closer as you go to the left. That means we need to change so we can see more to the left, and that means changing X min. Don't pick a positive number here. You need to go more to the left. X min was already -10, so we tried -20, and that worked. You can see the point of intersection. We sketched the line. The sketch picture we saw noted that the y-axis is shifted to the right. The x-axis is still in the center. Sketch the two lines. Make sure you label them, Y1 and Y2, and make sure that you include that -20 on the graph. I need that -20 to be where the X min goes, on the left side of the graph, and then your final answer right here. So just a reminder, if you change X max, you write it here. Right here, you put the number right there. If you change Y max, you put it at the top of the screen. If you change X min, you put it to the left. And if you change Y min, you put it down at the bottom. All right? So we'll take a look now at the next few. I have to move things around a little bit to get to it. All right. So we're going to go through this one step at a time, and hopefully I'll be able to write so that you can read it. Okay? Step number 1, your Y1 is the left side of the equation. Your Y2 is the right side of the equation. You're going to type them into your calculator. Type carefully and slowly. On mine, if I type too fast, sometimes it skips one of the things I'm typing. I think that might have happened in class today. A couple of people had a 5 instead of a 15. I think that might have been from just typing text. So just type real slowly and proofread what you've typed. And always, always, always start with the Zoom 6. These problems are designed to show you something from the Zoom 6 window. Watch which one graphs first. There's the first one, there's the second one. You know, they kind of look parallel. They're not quite parallel. We'll sketch them and notice where they're getting a little closer together. And this time they're getting a little bit closer together down here at the bottom. So try to make sure that your Zoom 6 sketch shows that they're getting a little bit closer together down at the bottom. This is Zoom 6. And in my graph, the first one that graphed was the blue one, so that's Y1. Maybe you could say the one that's on the top and the one that's on the bottom is Y2. Label them in your Zoom 6 window because it's harder to figure out a little bit later. I will show you a way to do it though later. Okay? So they're getting closer together at the bottom. I need to go further down. Go back up and look at that little sketch we did about this at the top of the other side. This is X max. This is X min. We don't need to change those. We need to go down. So the number that we need to change is Y min. Okay? We need to change Y min. I'm going to press the window button. I do not want you to change anything but Y min. Leave the X min, leave the X max. We're not going to fool with this SCL, which stands for scale, not right now. Y min, we're going to change that. And I just think trying -20 works a lot, so we're going to try that. After you change the Y min, type in your number. Don't hit Zoom 6. It'll give you that same picture we got the first time. Instead, we hit graph. And you see it moves the axis up a little bit. Let's see if this is enough. Here, R2. Now, if you look very closely, you can see that they do intersect right here. However, it can be kind of hard to see when it's that close to the edge. So I tried -20, and I don't think that's quite far enough. So I'm going to change it and go a little further out. I'm going to try -30. Now, -20 might work. If you use it and it works, I'm going to give you credit for it. But I don't like to work with them when they're too close to the edge. It is sometimes very hard to read them. So instead of -20, I'm going to type -30 and hope that I can see that point of intersection just a little bit better because it's not so close to the edge. And I think I can see that just a little bit better. There's a few people that might change another number, but this one's okay. All right, so I need to move my x-axis up a little, but I didn't change the y-axis. I need to draw my two lines. Mine is blue and red. I'm not sure. Oh, I missed that. I missed that terribly. Let me get it off of there. Maybe a little bit more like this. And then the second one cuts across it like that. Oh, not very straight. Don't get super bent out of shape about it not being perfectly straight. The top one is Y1. The bottom one is Y2. The point of intersection is the same way we did it on our previous lesson. Second trace or second count, number 5. And you can usually just hit enter, and get over there a little bit closer to it. It doesn't even have to be real close, a little bit closer to it, and hit enter again. And our point of intersection is 8, -19. We have 2 more things to do. We have to take this number that we've written on the side and we must write it on our picture so that this picture tells us everything. It tells us Y1, it tells us Y2, it tells us the point of intersection, and it tells us the window that we used. And then the final thing is to write the final answer, which is X equals. Okay, so number 3. Moving on to number 4. So this one's kind of here because it has those fractions. That's about the only thing that's really different about this one. Oh, no, there's a second difference when we get there. So Y1, the left side, Y2, the right side. Type them into your calculator. Remember, when you're going to type new ones into your calculator, you should be clear before you start typing. Now, I'm going to do the first one with the parentheses, just to remind you that there's 2 ways to do this. There's the first one. I did that with the parentheses. The second one I'm going to do with the template, which is alpha function 1, right here. And I'm going to put my 1/5 in, so I remember how to do it. 1/5. And then the x plus 4. And either one of those is acceptable. It doesn't make any difference which one you do. And every time I want you to start with the Zoom 6. When we get good at this, we won't have to always start with Zoom 6. But Zoom 6 is the problems are designed to show you something in the Zoom 6 window. Okay? Again, I've given you 2 lines that almost look parallel. They're not quite parallel. So try to look at them and see if you can see where they're getting closer together. And in this case, they seem to be getting closer together over here to the right. Okay? So when you draw them, you could exaggerate that a little bit, maybe, just to make sure you see it. Over to the right, and when you were paying attention, I hope you were paying attention when you graphed. That top one is Y. Oops, the top one is Y2, and the bottom one is Y1 this time. And this time we need to head over to the right. So we are going to change our X max. All right, we're going to change X max. And I'm going to try 20 and see how that works. And you might notice that they're not very close together over here. This gives you a clue that 20 might not quite be big enough. So go to X max, make sure you get all the X min. Okay, go to the X max, change it to 20. One of the most common mistakes is to accidentally change the min when you need to change the max, and hit graph. I love these color lines. They're beautiful and they're nice and easy to read, but they are slow. When it's in black and white, it's faster. So you can see we changed it, and it's better. They're closer together, but they're not quite close enough. So you can try 30 next and see if that works. I'm going to tell you it does not. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to 50. But sometimes I try 30. Sometimes I just go ahead and jump to 50. The 20 did not work. I'm going to write down that I'm going to try 50. And oh, now it looks different. Okay, when I look at it now, instead of needing to go to the right, it looks like I need to go up. So in addition to changing the X max, I also have to change the Y max. That was not obvious from our Zoom 6 window, but as we followed the process, it became clear that not only do we need to go to the right, but we also need to go up, right? So I'm going to go into the window, and I'm going to change Y max. I'm going to leave everything else alone. You're really better off if you change kind of one number at a time for right now. And I'm going to try 20. That's always my go-to, because 20 works a lot. You can see that the x-axis has moved down and the y-axis has moved to the left. And there we go. Can you see the point of intersection from right here? The answer is yes. You can see it right there. So you can use this window. This is an acceptable window. But this is a place where we can, in fact, choose to make some slightly different choices. If you think that's a little too close to the edge for you, as you're working, you may decide that you don't like it when it's that close to the edge. You could go in and change that X max to 30, and it's going to just move it back over a little bit so you can see it a little bit more clearly. But I'm just going to leave it right there, because I can see it. Make sure your x-axis has been moved down a little bit. Your y-axis has moved to the left kind of a lot. Okay, here's my red line, and here's my blue line. And I'm going to go back to my Zoom 6 sketch, and I'm going to look at my sketch and see which one of those is Y1 and which one is Y2. You're going to label that from the start. Make sure you know. So your Y1 is the one that's down on the bottom. You can either put the Y1 here, or you can put the Y1 up here. That's okay. You can put the Y2 here, or you can put it here. It doesn't matter, and you don't have to have it in both places. What you do have to have is these two numbers written on the graph in a specific place. You may not just write this and leave it. You have to go over to the graph and take the X max and put it right here. This is a requirement. You have to take the Y max and put it right here in exactly those places. Okay, it can't go anywhere else. All right. All right. Then we're going to find the point of intersection. Second count or second trace. Number 5. Enter, enter, and then just get over there a little bit closer. You don't even have to get real close. Just get kind of close, and then hit enter. And my point of intersection is 45, 13. Last thing, find someplace and write x equals 45 and box it so it's clear that that's your final answer. Okay? Of all of this that I'm writing on my paper, the one thing that doesn't have to be there in your final work is this right here. I'm going to put a green box around it. If you don't write this part, that's okay. In your notes, I'm writing it so you can kind of remember what we were thinking. We tried 20, it didn't work. We tried 50. Then we saw that we had to change the Y max. If that's not in your homework, that's okay. All right, but everything else has to be there. All right, last one. So Y1 equals 0.3x plus 9. Just to change the order, I'm going to put Y2 beside it instead of underneath it. That's not a big deal, as long as I can read it. As long as it's not running into my graph too much over there. You can go into Y equals in your calculator. Please hit clear, because if you type this, maybe I'll just do it. If I forget to hit clear and I type 0.3x plus 9, do you see how it's still got some stuff left over from the previous column? And when you do that, we tend to make mistakes. Your best bet is to clear. then 0.3 x plus 9. The mistake I make most often is to hit the negative when I need to hit the decimal, so just sharing that in case you ever make that same mistake. And then the second one is 0.8 x minus 5. Double check, proofread that you have typed in exactly what's written there. If you type too fast, you will often end up with the wrong thing. And always, always, always start with the Zoom 6. Every single time until we have finished this introductory part. There it is. Now those two lines are not very close together. You still have to take a look at it. The top one was Y1 and the bottom was Y2. And determine that they are getting close together. They're getting close together kind of over here. Kind of over here. So I think that you're going to probably need to go to the right and up again in order to get there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try X max as 20, and at the same time I'm also going to try Y max as 20. Sometimes if it's clear that they're really far apart, it's not a bad thing to try 2 numbers at a time. But don't just jump in and change every number. That's not acceptable. We're trying to zero in on only what we need to change. All right, and then hit graph. Make sure you put it in the max slots. And let's see what that does. Okay. When I look at this picture, the new picture, I'm not going to draw another sketch of it. It seems to me that I need to go to the right, and I don't need to go up any higher. So I'm going to take my X, and I'm going to change it from 20, and I'm going to take it out. I'm going to try 30. You can try 40 if you want to. As the longer we do these, the more we do them, the better you'll get at knowing what your next guess should be. The only way to get there is to practice and to get some more experience. And it looks like that 30 was good enough. Okay, I can clearly see the point of intersection. If you wanted to, you could change the Y max to 30, and that would probably be all right as well. But I'm going to leave it right there with that, and I'm going to reproduce that picture. So my Y-axis has moved over a good bit. My X-axis has moved down a little bit. Let me get my 2 lines, and I'm going to remember at this point all the labeling that I have to do. That top line was Y1, that's this one, was Y1, and then the other one, the one that started out below, was Y2. I changed my X max to 30, that goes here on the right side. I changed my Y max to 20, that goes here. And now I'm going to find the point of intersection. Second count, second trace, number 5, enter, and get over there a little bit closer to it. Let's see what I have to do again. There you go. Is that a 28? It's a little hard to read on this calculator. I think it's 28 and the lovely 17.5. Nope, 17.4. All right. So final thing that you have to do, write x equals 28. All right. Now those are all the steps that have to be there. I'm going to point to them on this one more time. I'm going to point to them with the green thing. You have to type in Y1. You have to type in Y2. You have to draw this sketch here, and you need to label the Y1 and the Y2 so you don't forget what they are. This thing that I'm circling, if this is not on your paper, that's okay. That's kind of a thinking step, and we put it in our notes to help us remember what we're supposed to think. Every single thing I have on this graph has to be here. The x-axis, the y-axis, this line, the label Y1, the label Y2, this 20 at the top, this 30 at the right, this point of intersection, and then your final answer right here. Okay, you have, I think, 6 problems to work. So take your time with them, have your notes in front of you, make sure you refer back to your notes, and good luck with your homework.